Okay team, in today's episode we're talking about something that a lot of consultancy owners quietly stress about, and that's growth plateaus. Look, you might have had a period where revenue jumped, the team grew, things were moving, and then all of a sudden things plateaued. Revenue flattens out a bit, growth slows, and suddenly you start asking yourself, what's wrong with my business? But here's the truth, growth plateaus are not a problem. In fact, they're often one of the most important phases in building a strong consultancy. Hi, my name's Josh. I spent 10 years as a director and shareholder of a 3 million engineering consultancy that we grew to a 30 million multidisciplinary firm across engineering, town planning, surveying and architecture. And in today's episode, we're going to unpack why growth in consultancy businesses rarely happens in a straight line, why plateau phases are actually where the real work of building a business happens, and how to use these periods to set your consultancy up for the next phase of growth. So let's get into it, team. So first thing I want to talk to you about is growth in your business, growth in your consultancy. It happens in cycles. It does not happen in straight lines. I want to challenge, for a number of reasons, I want to challenge this assumption that a consultancy should be growing all the time without periods of slowing down and consolidation. Most consultancy owners, most founders get into business and they expect constant and consistent growth. And then when that doesn't happen, they stress out, they freak out, and the world's ending. But I want to talk to you today about strong businesses grow in cycles. There's a growth phase, there's a consolidation phase, there's usually a rest phase too, because as a founder, you can't be on all the time. You've got to take time out for yourself to rest and recharge, and then you grow again. So it's not just constant growth, it's growth, consolidation, rest, and then we go again. And with each phase of growth that your business goes through, you're always building momentum, right? So as you're growing, you're bringing on new clients, you're hiring team and staff, revenue's growing, work's coming through the door. But what I want to normalize in today's episode is eventually your business will just hit a natural pause while it catches up operationally. And I want to normalize this, and I want you to know that it is okay. Because if you ignore this consolidation phase, if you ignore this point where you're like, oh, we probably should step back and work on systems, get team trained, all that sort of stuff, and you ignore this consolidation and rest phase and you just keep pushing and charging through with growth, you often create chaos instead of progress. You often create stress instead of actually recognizing the normal cycles of business. So the consultancy owners, the consultancies that last decades, they're around forever, they understand this natural rhythm of business and they build their businesses accordingly. So if your business has gone through a really solid growth phase, or you're feeling like things are a bit stuck or stabilizing a bit, I don't want you to freak out. It's not failure. It's not a reason to freak out. It's actually a good thing. The question to ask yourself in this phase is, am I actually going to use this phase to strengthen the business before we grow again? So pause, ask yourself that question, and make sure you're going to use this phase of consolidation and rest to strengthen the business before you grow again. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk to you about is these plateau phases, or these consolidation phases, are where the real foundations in your business get built. Because these plateau phases, these consolidation phases, this is where the next phase of your growth is actually prepared from. It's prepared through systems, through structure, team training, team capability, all those sorts of things. Because you think about it, as you're growing, it's kind of hectic. You're signing clients, you're winning work, you're super in delivery, team are kind of running around all over the shop. It only works until it doesn't. And so we want to use these plateau or consolidation phases to build the foundations for that next phase of growth. Because growth exposes your weaknesses. Growth exposes your systems, systems break, your processes become inconsistent. Usually you as a founder become the bottleneck again. And these plateau phases give you the breathing space to fix those operational cracks. So you're growing, you're exposing the cracks, you're exposing the systems that don't work, or the team that need training, and you're using those plateau phases to create space in your business to fix those operational cracks. So yeah, this is where you install better systems. This whole concept of what got you to where you are won't be what gets you to where you want to be going. So you install better systems into your business. You document processes, because again, the processes for a team of 5, 10 or 15 is very different for a team of 15, 25 or 30 people. So you need to document processes better and just build a new operational rhythm in the business. It's also when you strengthen the team. So you use those consolidation phases to train people, to elevate senior staff, start shifting responsibility to your senior staff away from yourself as a founder. I just want you to know without this consolidation phase, without this consolidation phase and ignoring the consolidation phase, you're not growing a stronger business. You're just growing into chaos. So instead of viewing this plateau in the business or this consolidation phase as negative, as stagnation as you going backwards, I want you to reframe that and think of it as a period where you stabilize the foundations that's going to allow the next phase of growth to happen. All right, so lastly, I want to talk to you about being more strategic about these consolidation phases. So again, when you recognize that things are, you've been growing, things are getting a bit out of hand, there's mistakes are being made, your profit might start to dip as well. That's like a really good signal that you're going into a consolidation phase because it's been hectic, it's been out of control growth. That's when mistakes start to get made. So what I want to talk to you about now is like really being strategic, recognizing when you're in a consolidation phase, zooming out and recognizing that business is a long game. You're going to be in this business for a very long time. Stop reacting emotionally to slow growth or perceived slow growth and deliberately use this plateau phase to strengthen your business. So what tends to happen is like when growth slows, revenue starts to dip, things start to get a bit hectic, most consultancy owners panic. They freak out. They immediately start chasing more work. And sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes the smarter move is to deliberately accept like a short consolidation phase and actually go, you know what, this is actually a good thing. Actually saying to yourself like, and being strategic about it, and this is the mindset shift that I want to get across to you, is recognizing that you don't need to keep growing all the time and actually stepping back and going, you know what, to yourself and to the team, for the next 3 months or for the next 6 months, you know what, we're actually not going to be focused on growing revenue. We're focused on strengthening the business. We're going to use this period to create almost like a mini business plan inside your business. So for the next 3 to 6 months, what roles need to be hired or developed, what systems need to be installed, what processes need to be improved, what leadership capability needs to be built. Because when you can step back strategically and go, you know what, for the next 3 to 6 months, it actually makes sense for us to just kind of put a hold on our revenue growth and get the back of house sorted. Because when you treat that plateau phase intentionally instead of emotionally, you just set the business up so strongly for the next wave of growth. And you're giving your team a chance to rest, recoup, recharge so that they don't burn out as well. So if your consultancy does feel like it's plateaued or going through a consolidation phase, don't just ask, why aren't we growing? Ask, what foundations are we intentionally and deliberately putting in place now for our next phase of growth? So use it strategically. So one of the things I love seeing inside our boardroom community is when, consultancy owners use these consolidation phases properly. And an amazing example of this comes from an incredible client, Meredith. So once Meredith knew she was in a plateau, instead of like chasing more work immediately, she spent time focusing on strengthening the business internally. So she invested time building her business playbook, documenting systems, identifying areas where things would previously be done ad hoc. Then she took that next step. She started building the team around those systems. She brought in 2 student planners and a VA to support the business and put a clear onboarding plan together for them to come into the business so they could hit the ground running. This is a perfect example of what I mean when I talk about consolidation phases. Instead of just chasing revenue growth, Meredith focused on strengthening the structure of the business, systems, processes, and people. And when you do that properly, the next phase of growth becomes easier and a lot more sustainable. So if you take one thing away from today's episode, let it be this. Growth plateaus are not something to panic about. They're often the phase where you strengthen systems, develop your team, and build the foundations for that next phase of your consultancy's growth. And if you'd like to learn more about how to run a more efficient, more profitable consultancy, one that increases revenue, grows consistently and gives you the life and the business you want, check out our 10 million plus consultancy roadmap training. So inside that training, I walk you through a step-by-step roadmap showing you how consultancy owners grow from 1 to 3 million to 5 million to 10 million plus while building a business they can be incredibly proud of. So you'll find the link to that training below this episode. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next episode.